time Avengers assemble. Together we fight as one, so the villain's starting to tremble. Let's go, let's go. It's time Avengers assemble. Together we fight as one, so the villain's starting to tremble. Let's go, let's go. It's time Avengers assemble. Together we fight as one, so the villain's starting to tremble. Let's go, let's go. It's time Avengers assemble. Together we fight as one, so the villain's starting to tremble.
What's up? So this is another build, and it's more so a play style, but I'll go ahead and start going over it. And before I even get into it, you don't have to have these pieces of gear necessarily, as long as you have some type of correlation within your build. And that's why it's called the Kaizen build, because it pushes continuous improvement. If you don't know what Kaizen is, just look it up. But it pushes continuous improvement and eliminates waste in any type of way possible. So I'll go ahead and start. The Fountless Empowerment Gloves is the first piece I have. You can see the 3 perks. This first perk, the Intrinsic Burst, it correlates with this perk right here, or this piece. And it correlates with the 3rd perk on this piece. So whenever I get my Intrinsic Burst, I reach my Shadow Ops pretty much in about 1 or 2 hits. And whenever I'm in my Shadow Ops, I have a lot more status damage. So this first perk again helps you get to this 3rd perk a lot faster, and helps you get to the benefits of it, right? So it's just pretty much cutting the time down. It's efficiency based. And on this 2nd perk on this first piece of gear is the Signature Attacks inflict cosmic damage. And again, this is one of her quicker attacks, the Signature Attacks. So you can do the Signature Attacks really quick and get an Intrinsic Burst from it. And once you get that Intrinsic Burst, you can keep on doing those Signature Attacks and apply an extra 30% status damage, because you'll be in your Shadow Ops more than likely, because you have that Intrinsic Burst from the first perk. And the same thing applies to this 3rd perk right here, the Stealth Modifier, where you get an extra 20% increased status damage whenever invisibility is active. So you can do a few Signature Attacks, get straight to the Shadow Ops. Whenever her Shadow Ops is active, you could put another piece of gear on right here that will increase your heroic recharge rate whenever your Shadow Ops is active. I don't think I have one. Boom, here's one right here. You get an extra, well, this one has an extra heroic recharge whenever invisibility is active, but she does have an extra heroic recharge whenever her Shadow Ops is active. So you could put that on this perk, on this piece, but I don't have that equipped because I think it's a little bit overkill, because my heroic support rate's at a 47% right now. But anyway, back to the build. The 2nd piece is the Proficient Buff Rounds. Just, your stand-up pistol, whatever. 18% chance that power attacks do a damage buff. Nothing too special, just a typical thing. But the way I have it aligned within this build is that I have an extra 20% damage from power attacks right here. So since I'm going to be doing power attacks a lot to get this damage buff, I felt like I may as well have had some type of extra damage from this power attack. So by the time you do a few power attacks and you get the damage buff, you can come in with the Signature Attack, and they'll be at pretty much half health depending on who you're fighting and what your damage output is. And on this one right here, 22% chance that activating heroic support will deliver a heroic charge burst. And this actually works. And with you have to check your heroic support. I know for me, like I said, my regeneration speed while I'm fully buffed is at a 47%. And typically when I'm about fully buffed and I activate the invisibility, you get about a 1/4 of it back. And it doesn't happen every time, but it says 22%. It really feels more about 50% with my current crit chance. If I'm not mistaken, my crit chance is at a 19%. And again, this is fully buffed. So again, this 2nd piece coincides with her invisibility and her heroic support. And this 3rd piece right here, this is how you make up for some type of, or this is how at least I made up for some type of deficiency in my build. So one of my deficiencies is I don't have any type of willpower regeneration other than these 2 pieces right here. I don't have any innate willpower regeneration where I'm just naturally doing something and I'm just able to recover willpower. So this 16 attacks will give you a willpower burst. which definitely helps out a lot because again, I don't have any type of willpower regeneration within this build. And to further the continuous improvement aspect of this build, I have an 11% extra damage from power attacks. So again, I'll be doing a lot of power attacks. And on this one right here, I have the Norn Stone of Golden Gifts. And honestly, I just started running this because it gives you that extra 5%. Now typically, the way I like to do it is I like to find out what attacks I'm going to be doing the most of, right? So let's say I'm doing a lot of signature attacks, or I feel like, just doing a lot of signature attacks. I may have this one on because again, it'll coincide with this piece where I get this extra damage from the signature attack. Or sometimes I could put another power attack on another piece that it gives you an extra damage from power attacks, like this one right here. So, but it all depends on, what type of playstyle you want to have. But as long as everything coincides, so every single piece of gear, and it's hard to do this sometimes unless you have a lot of gear, but it is what you make of it, right? And now just a few things that I did want to talk about within this build is typically I do run heavy on the extra power attack damage, and one of the reasons why I run a few extras on the power attack is because the power attacks with Black Widow is where I find myself doing a lot of most. So the grenade toss is a power attack, and again, this part coincides with the build too, because let's say you toss your grenades out and your shadow ops meter is full, you become invisible, and whenever you become invisible, you get all of the benefits that are in her normal skill tree. So you're able to get the extra 25% crit chance, and your teammates, if you get close to them, get that extra 30% crit chance as well, and that's from throwing your grenade out. But you have to be in your shadow ops to throw the grenade out. And again, it all goes back to the very key point of the build, this intrinsic burst and whatnot, and how it follows the cyclical process, right? So again, that's a power attack. And another power attack within their skill tree is the aerial power attack as well. So you can literally just jump up, press triangle, and that's a power attack. And also you have the range power attacks. So I find myself doing a lot of those. So sometimes I like to mix it up. Now there are different combinations in which you can do. So let's say you already have an extra damage on power attack because I have this extra 20% right here. So you can go in and you can put extra damage on your signature attack in one category, and then you can put an extra damage on your sprint and dodge attacks on another category, right? And you see the stats are still relatively the same as they were before. It's just a few of the perks change. So with this type of setup, you can start out with the power attack by doing by holding your R2 button in or whatever game you're playing on, and get a damage buff from it, and sprint towards the enemy, do the sprint dodge attack, followed up by the signature attack, followed up by a grenade throw, which is another power attack, and then you can jump in the air and press triangle to do the aerial power attack as well, leading back into a signature attack. So that's just like the cycle of it. But again, you can make this build in any type of format. It's not even about the gear pieces, right? Or it's not even about necessarily the stats. It's about what you do with it. So I mean, pretty much I can probably make one right now totally different, like a heroic recharge rate build, just immediately. But again, everything will have to align. So if I had this piece on right here, that gives me the extra willpower, heroic energy from melee crits. One thing that I want to do is take off this piece, because there's no need to have a willpower burst if I'm getting willpower back from melee crits. Maybe put on this one right here. Well, maybe not that one. Heck, I'm trying to find one. This one right here, where you get a defensive buff. When you get a defensive buff from landing 16 hits, and you get an extra heroic recharge rate as well. And then maybe take off this Valor piece, because you're gonna want this first. You're gonna want the gloves to proc. You're gonna want the brazen cosmic surge to proc. So maybe you want some extra proficiency, right? So now my crit chance is at almost 100%. So again, it's all about what you make of the build and all about how you arrange everything. And then if I wanted to go a little extra with it, you can put on this vest right here. It gives you the extra 200% willpower regeneration whenever invisibility is active. And again, now let's say I want to increase my heroic my support heroic recharge rate. I just take this piece of might off right here that has the ultimate recharge rate of 9% and put on this one right here that has an extra 8% for my support. So now my support heroic is at 100%. So, and I get this extra 200% willpower regeneration, and you get this extra 0.3 willpower whenever you're dealing anti-damage, and you get an extra 15% regeneration speed whenever you're in overcharge. So, but let's say you can't get overcharged quick enough for any of that to activate, you can always go over to this piece right here. You get an extra 200%, extra 20% overcharge whenever from each attack. So it's a lot of ways you can play this game. It's not necessarily about having the most might and the most valor. I was playing the OLT the other day, and we're in the middle of a mission, or right in the beginning of a mission, and you know, everybody's just talking and Thor dies immediately. And I was excited because everybody had mics, and we go inside and Thor goes through the portal and he just dies. And I'm thinking that they made some kind of update. They brought in Challenge 4 and stuff like that. And then I realized that no, because he just came out of nowhere after he died and was like, my valor's over 10,000. And I'm like, you just died. But again, it's different ways you can play the game. You can make builds. But that was my Kaizen build. If you want to see the exact pieces that I had on, you know, just rewind this video. And the pieces that I had on earlier are the pieces that I had during the gameplay. And if you do want to farm for those pieces, you can just do a quick search of Marvel's Avengers gear location. I'll put it in the description of this video. There's a full chart that shows exactly where you get each specific hero level, hero set gear. The only gear that I have on that's, you know, is not farmable from earlier was this proficient buff rounds. And again, you just get these from the boxes or whatnot, or random drops in these artifacts as well. So hopefully you took something from this video and applied it to yours.
You wish, Dr. Ravicini.
Okay, yikes. Looks like this new killbot is a big Avengers fan. The shield, the hammer. Gonna guess you've got some rockets hiding back there?
Kate, AIM has control of the bridge. We can't open it again unless we get it back.
Hang on.